We do have a short after show.
Right. So we'll just keep recording.
He's going to be able to get that.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah. We got some time for that. We got like an hour and a half.
I'm thinking ice cream. I'm thinking ice cream. You're thinking, do we keep recording?
I'm just thinking, right, exactly. We're hanging out for a little bit.
When will Apple be able to transform that ice cream hologram onto our iPhone?
Smell-o-vision, taste-o-vision.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
I would like to welcome everybody to Season 2, Episode 15 of the Knives Templars. We are a knife making and knife enthusiast podcast, and I'm Chip Carlisle, your host. Tonight, I am excited to have my buddy Otis here, Pinto, but unfortunately, Matthew Rich and Chris Jones and Joey Terrio and even Eric Rivers have come down with that terrible pandemic that we've got going through the country right now, and it's called BPS, and that is butt pucker syndrome. They were not able to make the show tonight due to a bad case, and we're not quite sure. Eric may still be able to get in here, but if not, let's just keep praying for them that they survive the old BPS. So donate to the cause, guys. If you see somebody come through and they're taking up funds for BPS, remember, we appreciate it at the Knives Templars. But I am excited to say I've got Otis here. He's my standby, my good friend, best friend in the world. Dustin, if you ever see me at Blade Show or anywhere, it's customary to give me a knife, and I'll have to show you the one that Otis here surprised me with. It wasn't customary until this man gave me a knife that Jim Bowie himself would have said, dude, that's a nice knife. So if we ever meet anybody, just letting you know. I do carry several Texaco knives that I pick up along the highway just for such events, so I'll be happy to reciprocate with a gas station knife to you. So that's where we are. Hey, we've got our Pops Knife Supply Maker's Mark series still going on, and I'm enjoying this. But I will tell you, we've had some exciting guests. But this one's extra exciting for me because as I was talking to him before the show, I consider people that have influenced my knife making either through skills, certain small skills or big skills, how to drill through bone, how to enjoy the smell of bone while you're sanding it, and the love of the art. And we have got Dustin O'Hare with the Art of Craftsmanship on with us tonight as a guest host. And since it's only you and I, hey, let's just go ahead and do it early because Otis here, I get 2 votes. Is Dustin O'Hare a Knives Templar from here on out? Can come on anytime?
Oh, yeah, man.
And I give you 2 votes, so you got 3 votes. Nice. You're in, brother.
Awesome.
And if you ever, and Dustin not only has a YouTube channel, The Art of Craftsmanship, where I learned to do so many things. You're my hero. Let's put it this way. I'm going to say it real quick. You, Eric Rivers, and Trolsky.
Yeah.
If my wife had let me put your photos up above the bed,
please don't.
Honestly, no. I would do something. I would get one of those things that make you look like admirals paintings, and just put so you look like a 1700s admiral. But seriously, you're one of the guys up there. I'm so tickled to have you on tonight. Before I jump into you, though, I'm going to say, and we've mentioned Otis here. He's coming to us from Laurel, Maryland tonight, and so Dustin and Dustin and Otis here are the Northeast and the Maryland connection tonight. So I may just end up having to shut up and listen. So, with all that being said, Dustin, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and as I mentioned beforehand, there was a point in my kind of YouTube career where I realized that things that I was doing were influencing other people, and people were starting knife making, and then I got to a point where people who started by watching our channel then have gone into professional, become knife makers, and that's just it's humbling, and it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So I appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited to be here.
I've got sponsors. I've got banners in my shop. I've got really cool pieces of equipment. I learned how to start on a 1x30 like you. This is just going to be a whole show of me praising you. So just put on your boots now.
Right.
But I'm selling knives, and I'm selling more than I can make, and I'm not. Excuse me, I'm not taking the money till after.
Right, selling them right off the bat and making them eventually.
Yeah, people a year later going, "Where's my knife?" I'm contacting the courts. But no. And I still learn, because I think we learn from each other every day. When you post something, I post things online. So I don't want to sound like a copycat, because we all kind of do that thing, because you're very unique in what you do. But you influence me, to redirect my YouTube channel, and it's not like yours. Yours is really cool and takes a lot of time, and you've got a great camera person. Either I would assume your wife or your brother.
That's my brother.
With you?
Yep, my brother Devin.
Yeah, he is extremely talented.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about it, but the website, which I've done for years myself, and then the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I listened to 2 podcasts, and it started off with Knife Talk.
Yep.
You can't beat those guys. They are so knowledgeable. They cuss like sailors, but they know a lot about
the dynamic. You can't beat it. Those guys love each other, and you can tell. Right?
They do, and they're so unique to their environments, because when you listen to Jeff Fader, he's typical New Yorker.
Yep.
Mareko is a northwestern guy, and I just can't figure out Craig. He's just I think he's from Wales, or a Welshman stuck in France, but he's enjoying the heck out of Europe.
Yeah.
So they're just wonderful guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just roll up the windows and don't turn my speakers on loud when I'm driving around the city. Excuse me.
Yeah, there are some podcasts I listen to in the car when my daughter's in there, and Knife Talk is not one of them. But I listen to all the Knife Talk podcasts, because it's you can't beat it.
Yeah. So we'll know if they're listening if they come back and go, "Hey, those people over at the Knives Templars, they don't cuss enough." So I'll be listening to their Monday episode week after next to see if they're listening, and say, "You guys suck. You don't cuss enough."
Right.
Hey, no, there's a place for PG rated movies, and there's a place for R rated movies, and they're all good movies. Yep. You just have to have the right audience to see them. So they influence me, but it's not about me. This is your night, and we're all a team here, and I'm glad you're here. But tell us about you, Dustin, because tell us the stuff I haven't seen on YouTube.
Well, so I'll start off just by saying that with my my brother, he was the one who kind of came to me and said, "You're always making stuff, no matter what. You're in your shop all the time. You're doing stuff. What if I come over and start filming you, and we start a YouTube channel?" Like, why not? Give it a shot, because there are a lot of other people out there, and a lot of other channels that have just a camera set up on a tripod, and the production level is low, and there's all this stuff, and they're still making, like, they've got views and they've got subscribers, and they're still doing it. So why don't we do it a little bit different? Up the production level. We'll do some how-to stuff. We'll show what you're doing. We'll have fun, and we'll see where that takes us. And so he's the one that kind of got us into it.
I've got an iPhone with moment lenses. I don't know if you know what moment lenses are, but I've got an iPhone 7 with moment lenses that I set on a tongue oil can. So you're saying, what are you saying?
I'm saying that you can also be successful, right? That was his angle, right? There's a lot of successful people out there that are doing something simple like that, and there's an avenue for that. But let's try something different, because so my brother's background is in film. He went to film school in New York. He, his whole life he's been all about it, and he had kind of gotten out of it a little bit because he's production in sports. So he's kind of working in the business, but not making movies and not using those, the programs that are important to that. So he wanted to kind of, keep his chops up, right? Unlike the new programs and things, he wanted to keep doing stuff. He was losing it. So he's like, well, let's get together. Let's start a podcast. Let's start a YouTube channel and see where it takes us. And that was at the end of 2016 when we kind of had that discussion. And it's been a while.
So with that, did you start out making knives when you first started, or were you doing some other type of art? Or
Yep. So our very first video was a knife making video.
Okay.
And that one did pretty well. And so we kind of knew that there was something there. And that was kind of at that time where a lot of people were getting back into knife making.
Yeah.
I had gotten into knife making when I was in college in probably 2005 or 2006.
Wow.
And I started backpacking a little bit more regularly. My now wife, my girlfriend at the time, she and I, our friend group, kind of wanted to start doing some backpacking, and I wanted to have a good, fixed blade knife to go. And I had this kind of cheap.
And you wanted to say, I made this.
Exactly
go, nice
right.
knife.
Yeah, right. That maker mindset was there. I'd be like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, nothing feels better.
Nothing feels better, right? Exactly. So I had this kind of cheap
it.
knife, and that was fine. And then I was looking at a lot of different knives because I was kind of getting into it, and I'm looking at like really nice knives and looking on blade forums at the time and stuff. And I was like, man, those knives are expensive. Like I can't afford that. I'm just out of college. Like, what am I gonna do? So I looked up. My first influence in knife making was a guy called Green Pete, and it was actually on the Vimeo, I think it was. So it was like before YouTube.
Vimeo, yeah.
Vimeo.
He
had a whole a couple episode series of how to make a knife, and this like British guy named Green Pete, and he did this file knife. He put it in a fire and stoked the fire and annealed the file, and then he did all the filing by hand, and he like put a pot of tea on the fire, and he was like, while we're sitting here, we might as well have some tea. It was like very British. It was great. And he went through the whole process, and I was like, I could do that. I could make a knife. And then so I started looking into it and realized that like the whole heat treating process stuff is a little bit trickier. So at the time, like, how can I make a knife without doing that? So I found some little thing that was about like how you could take old saw blades and make knives out of them because they're already heat treated because they're designed to go fast and be hot, right? So I tried that, take an old saw blade, cut it out with a Dremel with a little cutting disc on it, and use a file to put in.
How many of those discs did you go through cutting that thing?
Well, that's the thing. Those discs cost, like you can get a dozen of them for whatever, $7 or something. Right. So,
but I've gone through thousands of those myself. Yep. I just know that, if you get the slightest angle off.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, you learn to appreciate the face shield, and your eye protection because they're shattered
and
on
keep
you.
And keep those little discs vertical. Yeah, keep them vertical.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I started, was just doing that type of thing, trying to make knives out of old files and playing around with different styles. And I used knives that I made for years in backpacking, and, kind of just progressed from there.
Yeah. Do you still have that first knife?
Yep, I do.
Oh,
and actually, I
wow.
don't remember which one. I have a few that were made right around that same time period, so I can't really remember which one I made first or second or third, but they're all like, I made a couple right away.
Well, it's nice to have that history.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, Odisir, I don't know if I've ever asked you, how did you start making knives?
Necessities?
Were you in the U.S. at that time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the very first knife I've ever made, I don't know, I think I was maybe 15-ish, but I found a piece of leaf spring, and I took an angle grinder to it, and it looked like a sharpened pry bar. But I was able to, dig some holes, do some batoning and stuff,
And you were proud of yourself.
Oh, yeah, I was happy, but no... not the least of understanding of what I was doing. I wanted a knife.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't afford a knife, so okay, I'll make a knife. It's gonna be a caveman knife, but it's a knife.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
sure cavemen would have paid a lot of dinosaur eggs for that knife.
Yeah, leaf spring knife, man.
But if you had it back then, yeah.
And no concept of symmetry, no concept of angles, anything, right? Basically, I grab a piece of leaf spring that I found on a junkyard, and okay, let me grind this thing into a knife-like object. And
well, at least you weren't playing video games at the time, so
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
See, what would that have been? Pac-Man or Frogger or what would?
Way back when, Street Fighter,
yeah, right. Original
Mortal
Nintendo,
Kombat,
Sega.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. You are. You're older than. Now you're showing your age.
The little joystick with the two buttons on the side go
You always tell me I'm showing my age when I mentioned that I used to dress like Casey in the Sunshine Band, but now you're showing your age.
Yeah, I'm old, man. I'm old.
Hey, well, listen, I want to tell you about something I'm sure you guys know about, and that is my friend Oleg over at knife-wood.com. I have been looking at his wood products for quite some time, and he's making knife handle or wood for other different type of projects stabilized. Probably I would estimate 30-40 kilometers outside of Moscow, and he recently sent me a set of blocks that are so beautiful. I just finished making a knife with it, and I have not only got wonderful compliments because of the beauty of that wood, I'm sure, because I've made that knife before, but I'm even complimenting myself that it's so beautiful. And that's what happens when you have a good provider of a great product. I will tell you, using his wood, that this particular piece I came with, he said came out of southern Siberia. It's a piece of maple burl, got real earthy colors in it. It was solid all the way through. I did not find any holes I had to fill. There was one little spot in it, which was a natural section of the wood. I was able to, just a tiny spot, able to take it out of the handle just through sanding. But that was the most wonderful build I've done. And Oleg is now a sponsor of the Knives Templars, and I'm so, I don't know if to say it, honored, excited, or what to have a guy of his quality. But I want all of our listeners to know, we'll have a nice ad spot for him in the future, but you go visit Oleg and see the wood products that he offers at knife-wood.com. When you place an order, it'll be at your door probably within 2.5 weeks from Russia. Typically come in through Florida, and we'll make it straight to your mailbox. 100% satisfaction, not a problem. Anyway, visit knifewood.com and see what Oleg has to offer. You were going to say,
the last time I bought it from them, it took about roughly 2.5, almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
To get it in. It's some good stuff.
Yeah, I recently ordered some stuff, not from him, but from some other people. I was looking for some curly birch to make a knife for my wife, a knife handle for my wife, and that it took months to get that wood over. We ordered it and just kind of assumed, well, maybe it's gone, and maybe we'll never get it. And months later, it shows up. So having like a reliable source like that, and man, you can't beat that. Website name, right? Knifewood.com. Can't forget that one.
Knife-wood.com. Knife-wood.com. Yes,
man,
yes.
That's awesome.
Because just so you know, knifewood.com is up for sale if you would like to buy it.
All right. He might want to buy that one. We should tell Oleg.
And redirect. No, I need to get knifewood.com and redirect it to my site. Because he's one popular guy. And interestingly enough, he told me, we were just chatting back and forth through a messenger app, and nicest guy. And it's usually like 3 o'clock in the morning for him when he's up doing something. He may start work then, but the thing is, I've had some people say, you're buying your wood from Russia? And I'm like, you know what? I don't get into politics or countries because I've got this guy that's a friend.
Yep.
And the problem in this world is, and this is the only thing you'll ever hear me say about politics on this show, is if it wasn't for kings, queens, dictators, presidents, people that are working in the capitals of every nation on earth screwing things up, I guarantee you, if they all left the battlefield, that me and whoever that guy is from what other country would walk up to each other and go, "How's your family?
Yep. Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's get to know each other," because
I agree.
The darkness in men's heart is only stirred up by people who are hungry for power or suffer great anxieties for their own benefit or for their own worries. So I will tell you, I have no problems ordering from him, and he is the kindest, nicest guy. And he said to me, he goes, why do Americans not like the Russian people? And I thought to myself, that's such a terrible thing. And I hope that doesn't come from the way our people are. Hopefully it's some type of propaganda, because I did my best to say, hey, that's not the way it is at all.
Yeah.
Good, honest people that love people. We love everybody in the world.
I agree. And I think, like you said, we get these kind of talking heads, people who are talking for the rest of us. But I think the average person is pretty honest, is going to give someone else the benefit of the doubt. And so, the average guy over in Russia is just an average guy living his life,
Oh, yeah.
and Devin, when the whole Russia-Ukraine stuff started happening, he was, there's a guy who we've talked to over the years about doing a collaboration, is is super castran. He's got, millions of followers. He's a Russian guy, and then was like, why don't we do something with him now, right? Let's why don't we do something and show the world that not everyone in this entire country is like an evil person, these are all just normal people who were led by someone who is not the best person in the world, right? And so, of course, there's a bunch of stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we've had that thought, and but I agree with you 100%. People. I think naturally people are good. There's a lot of bad in the world, but I think the majority of the world is good. And if you can see that in someone else, you can go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me stick my finger in there a little bit on this little mix. I think the problem that we have is that most people need a demon to fear.
Yeah.
So most people need something to fear. They need to fear the other in order to make themselves feel better, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't like this group of people because they eat funny. Oh, I don't like that other group of people because they dress weird. I don't like these people here because for whatever reason, right? Their English is no good, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever, man. Just it's like everybody needs a. And when I say everybody, I don't mean literally everybody, but most people need a source of fear, I think, in order to keep moving. And I don't understand that, man. When I see a lot of things, it's like, man, come on. It is just me. It is just you. It is just the other guy there. When we sit and talk, we probably eat the same things. We probably do the same things, right? It is just that we have some, like Chip said, some guy somewhere plotting something, wanting more, and pushing for things that, at the end of the day, who ended up paying for it? We end up paying for this thing.
Yep.
It's not good.
Yeah,
man.
the normal person. Yep.
And when he comes buying stuff, the next time I purchase wood, I'm buying from him again. I don't care where it's coming from. What I'm looking for is quality of the product.
Yep.
Right? If he was here, I would be buying from him anyways.
Yeah.
He could be anywhere. I mean, he putting out some good stuff. I'm buying it.
Yeah, and we're supporting another maker,
doesn't
right?
matter.
That's someone who's making a living somewhere else, and it's a good quality thing, right? And it's a one person to one person basis, right? You can only judge him on who he is. At the end of the day,
right?
He's got a family to feed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever is happening, he got put food in his table. Keep his family dressed.
Yep.
Under a roof.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
Same thing. It's same thing for everybody. I don't
what they don't
I
realize?
don't understand it.
What they don't realize is if you take Bezos or Musk rockets up into space for the joyride and come right back down, people don't realize just how small this little island in our solar system and this little pinprick in the galaxy and the multitude of space is, and that we're all just in this little fish tank together. And unfortunately, there's always something in the fish tank hiding in the dark, ready to come out and eat or take over more territory. But I've got friends, Yuri from Ukraine. I've got 4 very good friends I hope to go see this next spring over in Norway and do some backpacking out through Ostmarka and fish on the North Sea. So it's really, like you said, Pinto, there's just dark people out there that create this, and don't mean to get too far off subject or get too political, but Oleg is one upstanding dude, and he's my supplier for stabilized knife blocks from here until he says I don't want to send them to you, and that's probably because I'll just be thanking him so much he gets crazy with me.
He's like, I'm too busy. You're sending too much work my way. Chill out for a bit. Take at least a couple months off. Don't sponsor the podcast.
Well, when you see the big names in knife making, and the Tyrells and all these other guys that are always in the magazines and everything, we see where they're getting their wood to. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing, Oleg treats me the same way he treats them.
Yep.
Just a cool dude.
Yep.
I like how Dustin treats me. How many sponsors you have on the Art of Craftsmanship?
0.
Not sponsors. I meant subscribers.
There you go. I was gonna, we're just short of 150,000, so 145,000.
Ooh, you've got one of those YouTube plaques, don't you?
We do. Yeah, one of the 100,000 plaques.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you know that Dustin treats me the same way he treats. Who else do you know? Mareko Malmasi, or you've probably talked to Dennis Tyrell.
Yep, we've had Dennis Tyrell on the podcast. Yeah,
I just call him Michael Trolsky because it's easier to say than Saliki.
Trolsky.
I'm sure
right.
Yeah, I say that, but he treats me the same, and that's what's really cool in this world.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a second and talk about our friends over at Majestic Forge. So don't get too heated up.
Majestic Forge is owned and operated by Brian and Kayla Horn in Rushville, Ohio. With many years of experience manufacturing 2 to 5 burner gas forges, Majestic Forge is your #1 source for blacksmith forges, farrier forges, and specialty forges. They are dedicated to creating top-of-the-line forges at a price you can afford. Majestic Forge has supplied forges to blacksmith schools, high schools, colleges, production shops, and TV shows such as Mythbusters. And Majestic Forge is the forge of choice for televisions forged in fire. Knife makers are in luck as they offer forges that come with 2 or 3 deluxe burners. Here at Knives Templars, we are sure that you can find a USA-made Majestic Forge to suit your needs. Check out your next forge at majesticforge.com.
So you guys over and visit majesticforge.com, and I will tell you, I own the 3-burner model and the 3-burner deluxe, and I believe that's all they're making now is the deluxe models, but you can get a 1, 2, or 3, and it comes well packaged. It comes quickly, and I will tell you what, the first time you put a piece of steel in that Majestic Forge, you are going to find that you have made the right decision. So anyway, getting back, where were we? Pinto, what have you done the last couple of weeks? You've been making some knives, and I want to hear about it because our viewers can't see the video, so you're going to have to be a little descriptive on what you're going to be showing us and talking
He was
about.
trying to jumpstart that
they,
before we got here, so now you can do it. He'll just hear.
And where can people see these knives you're going to talk about?
Right now, a couple of places. One is my Instagram as Pinto Handmade Knives. I also have a Flickr account, just Odacir Pinto.
Okay.
I think it's better to see it on Flickr. It has a better resolution there. You can really zoom it in and
they don't compress or do anything with the photo quality.
It's full size files.
Yeah, and we can also see you on the Rivers Experience.
The Rivers Experience,
and also if someone's friends with you on Facebook, they'll see your stuff there.
Yep.
Tell us about these beautiful new. Now, the reason I want to talk about these because these are some stretches for you. You've gone out in a different category. You've expanded what you do. So I'll leave it right there. Go ahead, brother.
So I made 2, right? The first one was I'll call it just an outdoors kind of knife. Basically, it's a Nesmuk design.
Yeah.
I incorporated some of my teacher's designs in it for the handle and the guard.
Did you get that handle on Amazon?
Nah, this is Oleg's.
It's beautiful.
This is Oleg's.
That's not Pakistani birch maple?
No, this is not Pakimaskas. No. And so this was a very interesting build, man, due to the difference in height from the spine, and then for the fin on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's freehanding. This was a very interesting challenge because when you're filing the narrowest section right next to the ricasso,
right,
the grinder works fine, but as you going forward to the blade, as it starts to get fatter, the grinder stops hitting near the spine, so you have to find a different angle. So I found that twisting the tip up so the grinder is going almost perpendicular to the edge on that direction, I was able to find and go all the way to the top. So it is a full flat grind from tip to tip.
So
you've got to go ahead.
I was gonna say, as you were working that up, so you were turning it so that way the edge bevel was turning along your spine and then curving up as you were going. Okay, yeah, I was gonna wonder that, right? Because you're like working that bevel up toward the spine, but then you've got the kind of harpoon clip type of thing on the back. So how do you reach the top?
To get to grind all the way to the top of the harpoon, I had to just go at an angle. And point the tip of the knife almost all the way up. it was an interesting thing. I would do it. I would do another. I really like the way this came out. Really, really pretty. You know, check out the pictures there on those two places that I said, and on the Rivers experience. And then the next thing, my nightmare was my first dagger. With that said, I want to give props to Mr. Rivers here.
It doesn't look like a nightmare, but I'm sure you had your hands full.
Because I'm going to tell you, man, getting all of these 4 bevels to match up.
Yep.
Props to people that do dagger on a daily basis, because this was hard for me to do that.
Did you?
especially
Now we're looking at the
freehanded.
dagger now, but did you freehand those bevels all on all 4 sides?
Freehanded,
Wow.
yes.
That is uniform.
And then when Eric did that dagger for the challenge, and he had 8 bevels to work on that thing, heads off. It was something else.
Yeah,
but
wow.
a dagger, it was my first one. I would do another. Made a couple of mistakes, but I'm happy with the final results. I mean, you can look at the Rivers experience right there. You're gonna see it now. I only posted 1 shot,
Right.
and then the little guard that I decided to go with it. This little guard, it took me about 6 hours for me to go through and get it all finished up.
Lots of beautiful angles in that as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
I decided,
that's a
okay,
really nice knife.
I'm gonna do it. Let me go and start making stuff and see what comes up. I mean, and I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, fit and finish is perfect. Probably the best fitted guard I ever made so far.
Nice.
Perfectly flush, no gap anywhere. Right?
It's so satisfying.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what? I'm gonna say that your guard would be the equivalent in the baking world of Keith's sweaty balls
What about?
for Christmas. You remember the sweaty balls on the Christmas episode of Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, right.
Man, you were
Sweaty.
the Christmas episode, and Keith Sweaty made sweaty balls because after his last name, and the ladies were eating his delectable treats on the show, and it sounded like us here talking just now with Dustin going, "Oh, it's so satisfying."
Yeah, right. Yeah, you did post that on the group, yesterday, and I saw that, and I mentioned like that's really there's something really nice and simple about that design. That's like a really clean, fine design that definitely spoke to my aesthetic in knife making. So it's really nice.
And the one thing I would change the next time I decide to go ahead and grind another dagger, I will probably distal taper the whole thing, because this one I took the full size 1/4 inch thick steel, and I ground all the bevels. So it's the spine. I mean, it doesn't have a spine, but the middle, the center ridge
Yep,
has a 6 millimeter cross section.
all the way to
Right.
like
So all the way through. So this is a monster stabber, but it's not a cutter. So
Now, how do you
it's-
think? How do you think that dagger would go up against the swords that Dustin's been making over the last few weeks?
he lives right next door to me, so we can meet up.
Those
one
are
day
some
and,
beautiful
put it to the
swords, though.
test.
I know where I'm gonna put my bets. But before we jump into that, Dustin, do you have to have your car inspected annually up in Maryland where you live?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Yep,
Well,
annual inspections.
I know a place that you can go where a guy will inspect your car and just tell you, dude, I'm just doing my job, and it's called baldmanscarinspections.com. And it's over in somewhere near Laurel, Maryland. And if you've listened to the show, you know that Dustin is keeping all the cars in Maryland
Yeah,
in
right.
good shape out on the road.
Yeah, actually, my the truck that I have now is a 2001 Dodge Ram, which I've talked about on the podcast. But it was right on the edge of historic designation, so I get a historic tag because it's over 20 years old, and I don't have to have any inspections, which boggles my mind that like old vehicles that are going to burn ton and make tons of emissions, options. You don't have to worry about that.
Well, we've got that in
but
common.
there's a caveat.
There is a caveat. Yeah, we won't talk about that right now, though. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be driving that vehicle around very often. I definitely don't drive it as much as a normal daily driver. My wife and I have another vehicle as well. That's our daily driver.
Yeah.
Well, I drive a 2005.
I've been seeing a lot of funny things in the inspection shop.
Well, tell us.
Right.
The usual rusty buckets. Maryland has a lot of them, and
do y'all throw salt on the? Do they throw salt down in the winter? Slag with salt in it? Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Salt. Not as bad as the northern states. I mean, I see some cars coming from Pennsylvania and Delaware and New York. I mean, when I see cars coming from there, my little rusty radar goes off really fast because I know
it's a northern
I'm
vehicle.
going to find something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it is going all the way through the panel, through the floors or quarter panels, rocker panels, and things like this, it's a straight fail. Sometimes I don't even take the job.
Yeah.
So I just keep on going. There's some guy down the road who will take it. I don't want my name associated with those cars.
Just so you know, Dustin, he does not take bribes. He's a honest guy, but at least you'll know who's failing your car and know that he loves you when he's saying,
right,
"Sorry,
exactly.
you shall not pass." So, tell us about the these beautiful wooden instruments that you've been making. You're making a sword. I've seen an axe, and of course, you're making a Osage bow as well.
Right.
And
yeah.
I had a little.
Doing a lot of woodworking right
those
now.
bows?
Yeah. So let's see, a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, my daughter asked me to make her a wooden sword, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? That's fun, and I'll do it in a way that, as a knife maker, I've got all the equipment, right? So a wooden version of anything that has bevels and needs to be, symmetrical, all that stuff is, you do it in wood and it takes 2 hours, where if I do it in steel, it's going to take me 10 hours or 12 or 50, depending on the heat treating process and whatnot. So it's this super
Yeah, but your
fun.
angles are still beautiful. Yeah,
And
your
that's the
angles
thing.
are still beautiful though.
Yeah, like trying, because I have, I can't turn that eye off, right? I can't turn that knife maker
Right.
off in me. So, I'm trying, okay, I draw a center line down the blade, and I draw center lines on the edges, and I just grind to them, but it's quick. And if it's a little wobbly down that center spine, like you're looking at Odyssey or on yours, trying to keep that line straight, it's no big deal if it's a wooden sword, because the kids don't care. But so
Yeah, but I tell you what, you're going to become a Renaissance Fair millionaire if you keep this up.
it's a blast. And so I made a couple for my daughter over the years, because obviously they break over time, and then her friends. We have this kind of small friend group, our our COVID friend group, the ones that we still hung out with during COVID. There are a couple kids within that group, so I've made them versions of those swords over the years, and then. My daughter's just about to turn 13 on Monday. So for her 13th birthday, she wanted to have a Percy Jackson themed party, right? So they're like a bunch of people who have swords and have this kind of fun, like a camp, like a warrior camp type thing. She loves Harry Potter, and she loves Lord of the Rings, and she loves all the fun fantasy stuff. And so she wanted to do a Percy Jackson party. So there are a few kids who are coming, and our friend group kids, they'll be there, and they're all going to bring their wooden weapons that I've made for them over the years. And so I'm making a bunch more for the other kids who are going to be coming, her friends. So there'll be party favors. They're going to get those swords.
She's going to be 16 in 3 years, so I would suggest that when she becomes a dating young lady, that you're not making wooden shotguns. You need to come to the door with a nice something maybe Italian.
They just come right down to the knife shop. I got axes on the wall. I've got knives. I've got daggers. I got all sorts of stuff. Just come down.
I can dispose of the body. I've got a forge. I can dispose of the
right,
body.
Yeah,
I can hit 1,800 degrees in this baby, no problem.
And yet, it's a small opening, but I got lots of knives for that.
And you see, and you've got a typical rustic Maryland basement, I call it.
Yep.
So you've probably got places you can hide them. Just drill a hole in the wall.
Yeah, my basement only takes up half of my house. There's a fun crawl space that goes the rest of the way. So it's real
and
small.
I will tell you, that's something that's kind of neat out of yours. I'm really surprised you haven't gassed yourself to death or burnt your house down. But and I'm saying that kind of jokingly, but I had a northern basement when I was up in Detroit, and that just kind of makes it look It's just got a cool vintage eclectic look to it, and I think that's so much neater than your back shed or your garage or this, that, and the other. I think that adds just a lot of value to your show, the colors and everything that come out in it.
Yeah, there's definitely some fun character that we get being in that space, and if we ever move from here, we'll just hope that the popularity that we've grown since then will just carry us through, because it's going to be hard to beat that space if we move from this. No plans to at this point, but you never know.
You'll end up putting up a still erected building. And
yep, exactly. And that'll all be content, and people will love it, because I'll send, be 20 videos on YouTube all about building it.
Well, just remember, you got to bury those future boyfriends deep in the walls if you sell the house. You don't want anybody to find them when you cremate them and put them in their little hole. What are
you going to do? What is it? What's the name of that movie where the had a whole bunch of bodies in the walls? Sicario.
What is it?
Didn't see that one.
Just the opening scene of Sicario.
Oh, Sicario. Yeah, right. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. The whole house, a whole bunch of
bodies in the walls,
stuff in between the plywood and drywall.
Speaking of people like Odysseer that have a eclectic, dark sense of humor when it comes to movies and such, I know that Eric Rivers does as well. But he also makes beautiful knives and likes to teach people just like Dustin. So let's take a minute and listen to what Eric Rivers does for us. Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? Many go to the books, and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, we are fortunate enough to have Eric Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor. And I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel, and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube, or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show. So y'all go over theriversexperience.com and take a look at Eric's knives, but also visit him on his Facebook group. Join his Facebook group. A lot of good banter going on in there. And also check out his YouTube channel, The Rivers Experience. And Eric, right now, he's not on with us, but he's probably on top of his roof building his new shop, and you'll get to watch him do that on YouTube. So, Dustin, if you ever get to build a new shop, I know some videos that you can go watch and get yourself there.
I have all sorts of good content from that. He's done all sorts of fun stuff. I know, the belly vise was good. Climbing around on his knees, hammering nails, and that's good advice. I like it all. I can do all that.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. You know what? You just hire somebody.
Right.
You just hire somebody. Just hire a man. See, I've done all that stuff in my life. Now I'm at the stage of my point, just hired a man. Yeah. My wife, though, is still very thrifty, and she's like, no, you're still young enough to do it. And
yeah.
I'm like,
well, that's the thing. You could go the Jimmy DeResta route, hire somebody and then film them and then put that on the YouTube channel. Right? So, it's still good content. See what they're doing.
I'd do that with my knife making. I could find a good knife maker and just film him, and I could just be the manager. I'm the manager of Shagman Kniver, and this is my and this is my employee Dave. And Dave's like, "What are you doing in my shop?" Filming a YouTube video.
Dave's so funny. Right. He cracks me up every time.
He's got a little issue in his mind since he got hit with that knife off of the buffer, but hey, just disregard. Here comes the police. Hey, also, I got some questions in this week. As we're starting to grow, man, we're getting some questions come in, and can we have a question time?
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, man.
All right, because I got some good guys on here that can answer it. I only give first names. I guess we can give second names, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I've got a guy named Garth who sent it in this week. Says, why is everybody recommending using a 36 grit belt first to take away the steel? He says that when most of his knives are 1/8 inch, and it just eats the steel up very quickly. I've got an answer for that, but go right ahead, guys.
It's just speed, time, right? How quick you can get to a point where you can then switch from doing large movements to small movements, right? So you use 36 grit, and it takes off a ton of material quick. It does take a lot of material though, so you got to be careful. If you're not taking your time and paying attention to that and seeing where you're going, you could really definitely go past where you want to go. But it just takes you from that like raw steel to, a place where then you can switch over to something more like a 160 or a 220 as you move forward. And like be a little bit more specific in those movements.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be doing just a very thin stock, 36 is shouldn't be your go-to.
I've started out on 120 with 1/8 inch steel. Just the steel was soft enough and did that.
Yeah.
And it went up to it real quick.
Mm-hmm. The number one advantage of a 36, like Dustin said, is it will hog out a lot of steel fast, right? So instead of you just sitting in there, burning the tip of your fingers on a 120 or whatever, that it goes really quickly. So
not going to get as hot.
Mind your lines, mind your bevels, and don't go over it. But if you're using a very skinny blade, I don't know, maybe an 80 will do just fine.
True.
Right? And it moves, removes material quick enough. Yeah. But I like my 36s.
I would say speed and pressure. Speed and pressure.
Yep.
I don't know if he's got a variable speed drive. I'm not sure if he's using a 1x30 or $1,000 machine or what he's doing. But speed and pressure, I use 36s mostly for profiling. Then I'll switch down to other blades. But like I mentioned, if I've got a thin blade, sometimes I've started out at 120 or even 80 and done the same thing. So if you're
50 is good too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like you mentioned,
really good too.
You started to mention, Chip, that using a higher grit belt it works fast, so it doesn't heat up your blade as much. So you can actually work really quickly and remove material without heating your blade up, especially if you're doing like heat treat before you actually do your grinding. And something with the 1/8 inch, like you could profile your knife and then do heat treat and then come back and do that afterward. So that'll let you take off more material without the blade heating up as much.
Yeah. And if you profile your blade first, you may only have 50 grit on that 36 belt.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So the other day I saw on our chat that you were talking about you were burning your fingers when you were doing freehand, right? Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, Chip.
It was a good burn.
Yeah, I mean, but so I mean, 36 would. I don't know what grit were you using. You remember?
What was I using that day? I don't remember. I truly don't. It was a lower grit. It wasn't less than one. It wasn't higher than 120, but really I was in that point where I was really trying to refine that that was my first my first successfully free-handed knife, and I was trying to be careful, and I made mistakes, and then I would just try to gently ease them out, and I think when I was generating heat on that, I'm getting hot fingers, so I just dipped a lot more, but yeah, I ended up with some sensitive fingers for a day.
Yeah. I mean, like a 36 would just remove a lot more stuff without generating a whole lot of heat. So that's the main thing. Yeah. And for the speed and pressure thing, I don't have a VFD. All I have is a straight switch. Mm-hmm. Turn it on. That thing is blowing as fast as the motor is gonna go, and I just adjust the pressure as I see fit for whatever I'm doing.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's been working fine for me so far. However, I do intend to get me a VFD in the near future. It's just that right now I'm just, don't really need it per se.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, speed is whatever my motor is going as.
Yep.
And the pressure is, my hands will feel how hard I need to push whatever piece of material.
I've got a recommendation for you, though. If you want to, you can do that with your speed right now. Just get you a brick and put it underneath the lower side of your grinder, and then you take one of those rubber belt cleaners and shove it in there, and at some point it'll slow the belt down just enough. It doesn't last that long, but it will adjust it without destroying your belt.
Keep your belt clean too the whole time.
And you've got chewing gum when you get ready to leave the shop. Speaking of that, we got a little bit off of speed and pressure, but I guess it still applies because I watched a housework video the other day on YouTube, and he was how to freehand grind because that's what I'm trying to get better at now. And it was really interesting. You guys can see me, but how he held the knife with his hand, his pulling hand, and then how he placed his thumb at the top of the blade, to the lower of the blade, to the mid blade, and it's speed and pressure, and being very consistent when you're pulling across. But where he placed his thumb, and when he would bring it back, he was doing these beautiful lines. Not every one was perfect, but that can be cleaned up with refining and slowing down or doing ever at the end. But it was so cool that I learned just moving that. It's kind of like, it's all in the hips. Yeah. It's all in this. It's all in the thumb, just moving up and down. So that was neat. But I think from what Garth's asking, it's a great question, and he's probably seen on a video. 36. What is it? Combat. What is the one that they call
abrasive?
The shredders. And so it's getting a lot of advertising, and it's a great belt. I use Phoenix belts myself, but it gets really good advertising. So if you're buying something like that, it's just learning to use that tool and making sure it's right for the what you're using it on. So it could be the steel, it could be speed and pressure, and sometimes, like we said, we can go to a blade with higher grit,
right, and blade thickness, right. If you're doing a 1/4-inch blade, like you were talking about, Osir, then it's going to make sense to really hog off a material and get down to where you can actually get to that finer stuff. If you're doing something like a 1/8 or a 3/16 or something, you might want to start with a higher grit.
Yep.
I've ordered some steel from Pop's Knife Supplies, and I want to tell you about that in just a second.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers: Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives. Make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
So I've ordered some steel from Pop's Knife Supplies. I've been working with Luke and McKenna over there. Great customer service, do a great job. And they've ordered me some 8670 1/4-inch. I've got a 8-inch by 48-inch piece coming here. And take a few weeks to get it because they had to custom order it. And
8 by 48?
8 by 48.
8 inches by 48 inches, yep.
Damn.
1/4-inch thick. And I just want to say, yes, I'm going to be using a 36 grit belt, or maybe one big 1-inch grit or one grit belt. But what I'm going to be doing, you're like, Chip, what are you making? Helicopter? No, I'm helicopter blades, rotary blades. I'm. You've probably seen me talking about making some tuna cleavers or tuna knives, and so I've ordered the steel from that. I got some handle material with some really nice ocean kind of tuna-y looking colors and stabilized wood coming from Oleg. So I can tell you real quick, I'm going to be hitting those. If I don't try to thin them out a little bit on a forge, I will definitely be, and I may do that for aesthetics as well, but I'm going to, because I love that Asian look, the way they beat out those things. Something I've never done before, but I know I'm going to be successful if I have to go through all 48 inches of that thing to make 2 knives.
How do you intend to grind it? Do you intend to do like just a cutting bed, or do you go full flat?
That's why I've been working on freehanding. And I'm not sure if it'll be free flat or not, because on the knife that you saw that I freehanded, it's not really truly a flat grind. It kind of convexes over. So with that being said, that's all in preparation for doing this. And I've also thought about just setting the angle of my table. Daniel Berg's another good knife maker with a great site out there. He's had some good videos on adjusting his table, so I know that on the Ameriblade grinder that I've got, I can adjust that table at the right angle, skin it right up next to that belt, and I can take it up even on a flat grind exactly like I want to. But if I want to keep it more aesthetically with an Asian, a Taiwanese, a Japanese type flair, I'm going to have to freehand it and be more convex with that particular one. So I'll let you know when I get there because it's a month out before I get the steel and everything, and I'm still studying it.
Yeah, let me ask you how is the it's a very important question. Okay,
Sure.
what is the intended use? You said like a tuna cleaver, right? But is it going to be used as a chopping?
No, it'll be slicing and
slicing.
It's slicing and chopping. What I would suggest is if you go to YouTube and just do a search for tuna cleaver or tuna knife or whatever, you'll see 100 videos of these really talented people from different parts of Asia just slicing right through these tunas, and they do it through pushing motions, chopping motions, and they skin with this knife. And I have a fraternity brother that has a tuna fishing rig that he set up and goes tuna fishing. And I don't know if Dustin knows. Dustin, I used to own a fishing lure company. I made, all of us knife makers are artistic in many ways.
Absolutely.
And one part of my life was 15 years of owning a fishing lure company. I made custom crankbaits. So one of the guys that I used to sponsor, a professional fisherman, he still fishes bass. He went to the Classic a couple times, but he's lives in Rhode Island and is a big sea fisherman, and big tuna, big fish, swordfish, and so on. So he's looking for something for the very same purpose. So I'm actually not going to charge a lot for these knives because of the relationship that I have with these guys, but also because it's a learning experience for me.
Right.
And they're kind of paying me for the materials and a little bit of time to learn what I'm doing. So I'll make some money off of them, but I'm not gonna charge a ton of money.
Yeah, if they're helping to support you, it's like they're paying for your classes basically. Like, here's all the materials.
Yeah.
We'll give them to you. Have fun and make something. And if it we'll try it out. And that sounds like a good.
Before.
Yeah. I'd be happy with that.
And pass it on. And we're all in this group together that we're all chatting on. So when I get there, I may be asking for some advice and your thoughts as well, because it'll be a new venture. Let's put it this way. I couldn't make a wooden sword right now to save my life. I could make a broomstick that had a point on the end and maybe had 4 different angles on the grind. But I'm going to be successful in this because, as you guys know, many things are intimidating until you sit down and do the math in your head. And there's nothing that we can't do if we just have the talent for that area, which I've already got, just like you guys. And then it's just a growth opportunity.
Yeah, right. The time and
I'm gonna.
But when it comes to the free grinding thing, my biggest fear was always the waste of material.
Right.
I have this, not really expensive, but just piece of steel that is usable, and I buy my steel mostly virgin steel, so no anything, right? Mm-hmm. I just don't want to be messing up a piece of steel and then junking it later. Yeah. I tried freehanding before. It just, oh man.
Well, this piece of steel is not cheap, that's for sure. But as you know, for me to be using stabilized wood and using some micarta and stuff these days is so out of touch for me because I'm more of a traditionalist. I don't know if you know that I'm a modern day bald Viking, or bald face Viking.
I'm the bald Viking.
But I want to be able to make knives like they did, 1,000 years ago. Yeah. And I actually met a friend that makes knives like they did 1,000,000 years ago. Right now, he's a good friend of mine from Birmingham. He's been teaching me how to do some flint knapping. Yeah, that's cool. That's just going to be a little side gig that I just do for fun if I'm sitting around and find a piece of stone. But anyway, so I'm going to break out my coal forge, and I may just do this exactly like the Japanese do it in the videos, because my intent is to become the tuna cleaver king of the United States.
Hey, man.
You get a patch and a crown that says tuna cleaver clean.
You might be asking for a lot of new things, right? You're doing coal, you're doing like giant thing. Maybe like just think about maybe a few small things, right? Get really good at that first and then see where they take you. But.
Well, every good project is steps. So.
Right. Yeah.
But seriously, I do have a coal forge, and One of the things is, can I get this, depending on how big I make this blade, can I get it into the Majestic Forge? And I may have to revert back to the coal. And I've seen how they do it. That's how I used to do it. It's pretty much an edge quench, and take it 2 or 3 inches up the blade, and then go through and quench it a little deeper, go a little deeper. You kind of step the quench down as you're going in, and just see what I can produce. And like I said, I've got enough steel to make 4 knives, so I can mess up 2 of them.
Yeah, if you're going to do an edge quench, don't use Pinto sauce.
No, I will. Well, this is going to have a little thicker edge on it until I get down, but at the end. But I will probably go with some AAA on this.
Right,
Yeah.
some slow. Something.
I mean, they do flare up just the same, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think AAA is a Parks product too, correct?
Parks
Yep,
50, it
Parks
does
AAA
flares
and
up
Parks
a little
50,
bit as well.
Parks AAA. I had I talked to a knife maker about it, and he recommended and that's still that thick that he would go with it, and so we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. Is the Pinto sauce, is that like a secret recipe, or can we talk a little about what that is? Because I've heard you talk about that
on the
before.
after
Well,
show.
On the after show.
On the after show.
On the after
On
show.
the after
Okay.
show.
you
No,
can't-
due to a liabilities law, due to liabilities.
Gotcha.
You can't mention it. You can't mention it on the show.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
due to
Pinto sauce.
liability issues. I
Okay.
mean, it's not like it's gonna blow up. It's not like
Right,
that,
yeah.
right? But some people,
backwards.
might have
You had it
some,
right the first time.
bad experiences. Like I
Right.
said before in the show, the first 2-3 times I used it, I did it outside. Nothing bad happened. Okay, let me move inside. Now I'm working inside my shed, no problem.
Yeah.
Just be mindful that you cannot do an edge quench.
Right.
And when you quench it, you have to completely submerge the piece really quickly.
The most
Right.
recent
And
knife.
you'll be all right. But it brings out my steel super hard. I never had any issues with that. I had to. I need to re-quench it, or it's not hard enough.
Right.
I have hardness files like many of us do. Not many of us go out and buy Rockwell testers.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and if you get one at a yard sale, it's probably not calibrated.
Yeah, exactly.
But but on
65 was skating, right? Your
yes, I was
65
going to
was
say
skating, right?
I bought some Pinto sauce from a Pinto sauce dealer, and we put it in ammo, one of the extra large ammo cans, and got all the red down below the surface of the Pinto sauce. And we've got a Pinto sauce dealer in several places down here in Hartselle, Alabama, just so you know, I was here. And anyway, got it down below the red down below the surface, and it did just fine. And the hardness of it was I don't want to say it was the hardest knife I ever made, but 2 things. I tempered it. The 65 skated right across it, and when I went to sharpen it, dude, that's a hard knife.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever have to sharpen it. I may have to put it on a piece of ceramic steel sometime, but that is a hard knife.
Yeah.
What an edge.
Yeah, man. Because it's a very watery
Right. Like a
substance.
Yeah,
I mean,
real
it's,
viscous.
close
yeah.
enough, right? So it's a very
less
thin
viscous, yeah.
viscosity material. So it quenches really quick, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty good, and I learned that from my teacher.
Okay.
So he wouldn't sell me some snake oil, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he'd been doing it for a long time, and he does all his Damascus quenching on it.
Wow.
All his carbon, mono steels on it, right? All his students are using it, having great success with it.
Wow.
Like I said, just be careful and don't
Yeah.
panic if you see a little poof every now and then. Just smother it with the lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I have a turkey fryer. I went to Bass Pro and I
You
bought
got
a
a
turkey
big.
fryer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the big tub. So I have a lot of it, and I filled it up almost to the top. I think I have maybe 3 inches
Do you
from the top.
do you warm it at all?
And then everything is. Oh yeah, I
Okay.
bring it to 120.
Gotcha. Okay.
Remember when we were talking last Thanksgiving and you actually didn't cook the turkey in it instead of the other fryer?
You were about to quench it. Whoa, wait, that's pinto sauce.
What a
It is pretty
flavorful
good.
turkey!
I mean, I just, and like it surprised me when my teacher told me, okay, go ahead and use this instead of anything else.
Yeah.
You're gonna have very good results. And when I watch any, all the YouTube makers and stuff, nobody ever said it anything. So for me, it was kind of funny, and I was hesitant in the beginning, and I used canola oil, and I used all different kind of oils because Parks 50 is expensive.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Is, and I'm willing to bet it's probably the same thing with a little additive in there, okay, with a little thickener,
Right. Yeah.
Let me add this in here real quick because I mentioned when I made my knife. Now that I'm a Pinto fan, not you, the Pinto sauce. Okay, I'm an Otisir fan, but I'm a
There you
Pinto
go.
sauce fan. I want you to know that while I said it was very hard to get that thing sharpened, it wasn't unreasonable. It just took a little bit longer, and I did it with some Lansky sharpening stones. So I want all of our readers out there just to go out and visit Lansky.com. So let's hear a little bit about the folks over at Lansky. So what you need to do is go over to Lansky.com and take a look at these stones. I tell you what, I've got a deluxe kit. Those things have been out since the close to the late 70s. As a kid, I've used them through the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and I will tell you what, I've got an Ameribraid grinder, and I've got the new sharpening attachment for it, and it's a lovely device. I'll talk about it a little bit later, but for the average guy, and even for myself, I go to my Lansky kit all the time because it's there, it's easy to set up, and it will make razor-sharp knives. So go over and visit Lansky.com and see what they have to offer you. Now back to the show. So, guys, I mentioned that I had the Lansky sharpeners that I use, but I have also just used my sharpener for my Ameribraid grinder.
Oh,
and,
I saw that.
Yeah, so,
You posted a video, right?
No, on our group. That was actually Donald. He's so talented. He made his own angled sharpener for his Ameribraid grinder, and it just does a beautiful job. So, Ameribraid has a product that's out there that fits their machines and other machines, I'm sure, but fits their machines. And you turn your motor in reverse and go down to a low speed, and use the same belt progression you would with most of them. And I tell you what, it was a no-brainer for me. I actually went and bought I bought a 5-pack of their throwing knives.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
dulled them on the concrete, which doesn't take much, but I dulled them really good and went back and sharpened them on my Lansky. And I will tell you two things. Number one, I made them extremely sharp, but that steel is almost like mild steel, even when you buy it from them. So I'm looking forward now. I'm comfortable enough to put it on a knife that I make for myself in the future.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a great attachment. But Otis, we were still talking about your Pinto sauce and the knives you were making. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to get Lansky in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the reasons when I first started making my knives. I said, okay, I need something better because every hunting season, I will have a new knife. Okay, maybe this is going to be the one, and then right through half of a skinning and quartering job,
Yep.
the knife is dull, and I have to stop
Yeah.
and go resharpen the thing. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Right. So okay, let me try and make something. It couldn't be worse than this.
Right. Exactly.
So luckily, I dabbled a lot. I'm a bit of a redneck scientist.
I like that.
Okay, and I
A
made
Brazilian
me a-
redneck scientist.
There you go.
Because there's a Southern American, there's Cajun, there's Detroit, there's all kinds of redneck scientists. You just got to define which one you are. And did you ever say, "Hey, watch this"?
All the time.
Before you did
So
something?
now his hair's gone.
There's a reason for that.
Okay, you're a redneck scientist.
So I dabbled with some stainless, even though I don't have an oven.
Right.
I was,
Yeah.
I had some great success, even though without the oven. Some S30V, right? And I ground that blade. I still have it. One of these days, Dustin is nearby. I might drop in one of these days.
Yeah.
I will show him that particular piece. But I ground to near zero, and my friend and I, we were hunting a lot those days. So I said, okay, let's see how many deer we can get through without having to resharpen it. And that particular knife, I went through 7 deer without having to resharpen it. Okay.
Wow. Now,
So
now
they
you see,
know-
he's already invited himself to your house because he's going to show you where to place the Pinto sauce outside of that forge outside.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Got a good
Do
spot
you mind
ready
if-
for it. Yeah.
Maryland is I've been looking for, but I haven't found like a Maryland Knife Makers Guild
Right, yeah.
association or something like that. There is nothing
Well,
in
you
Maryland.
guys will
I
have to
looked
start
for it.
one.
Yeah.
So since Dustin is the first maker I met, there is right next door to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
one of these days maybe
Okay, here we go,
get
here we go.
together and.
The Love Boat soon will be making another round.
Oh yeah.
Hey, the Knife Boat will
right,
be
exactly.
forging in your town. Hey, so do you live up around Frederick, or are you outside of Baltimore, or are you in Baltimore City?
I'm in Baltimore County, so I'm north of Baltimore City.
Okay.
I'm in the Hunt Valley area, which is just north about.
okay.
So Baltimore is interesting in the way that we have the city is what downtown is, and then if you imagine a
Right.
larger ring around that, that's like Baltimore County.
Yeah.
It kind of goes all over the place, but you got the city inside and the county outside, and then there's other counties and areas around Maryland. But
Well,
I'm-
you're near Pretty Boy Reservoir.
yeah, I'm further south than there, a little bit south and a little bit west. So just like north of the Towson area, if you go north there off of 83, which goes directly north of Baltimore
Okay.
City.
Yeah,
Family in Towson.
695-ish.
Yeah,
got
yeah.
family in Towson.
695-ish.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Go 695.
Going
Go
towards
north.
Westminster.
Yep. Yeah, my dad is
Just-
a super avid fisherman, and so I've been to Pretty Boy a bunch of times. I've been to Liberty a bunch of times fishing with him often. So
Rocky Gorge. Been down to Rocky Gorge.
No, I don't know Rocky Gorge.
Yeah, it's right next to me here. Caught a lot of fish in there.
All right.
Some good basses as well.
Right on. Awesome.
So fans, we've made a love connection, and we're going to listen to our friends over at Ameribraid. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
Hey listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to the Love. Excuse me, not the Love Connection. I mean, Knives Templars podcast. That's really cool because, like Kevin Bacon says, we're all connected,
Exactly.
and even if we're not connected by DNA, man, I know all these communities you're talking about as well because family living up in those areas.
that's
so
wild. Yeah.
that's cool. So when are you guys going fishing? Well, did y'all talk about it during the break?
Yeah, we had hours in between. We've been chatting here for a long time.
Okay, just like oh, we got some breaking news. Here's the weekly news from the Knives Templars. Eric, are you coming on the podcast? I just now got this message. I was dealing with a customer issue for the last 4 hours. Their trailer caught fire at our lot.
It's crazy.
And I said,
Okay.
is it for sale as a deer camp trailer now? Hope you're okay. I'm trying to get a deer camp trailer. So I'm glad that I'm sure he's okay. He's responded, but
Right.
it was unlike for him not to be there. So I've been a little concerned about him. So I'm glad. Anyway, that's
Talking
enough
about
news
deer
tonight.
camp, y'all hunting this season?
I'm getting ready to in 30 days.
Do you
Going
hunt
to
at
deer
all,
camp
Dustin?
to clean. Going to deer camp to get all the roads cleared here in a few weeks.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not a hunter. My dad hunted occasionally when we were kids, just for he'd get like a deer a season just because, we didn't have a lot of money as a family. So it was always like filling up the freezer for the year.
Yeah.
I have nothing against hunting. I love, like, you mentioned earlier, Chip, that, I do bow making, and I've shot bows lots and lots of times, but always at targets and always at different ranges and stuff. I have a shotgun, and other than that, maybe one day, I don't know. It's just not something that I never really got into it. It wasn't part of the culture that I grew up around, really. It wasn't like something that my dad did a lot. It was just something that he would do occasionally. Like I would, on occasion, I'd go with him, out in the fields and stuff, because I grew up on a farm here in northern Maryland. And just not a thing I ever really got into, but I love the idea of self-sustainability. So like, whether that's a knife or a bow or something,
That's so cool because I grew up with a golfing father, but everybody else in my family hunted. So at 57 this year, I went out and bought a shotgun and went out and bought a hunting rifle. So I've got a Benelli and I've got a Ruger, a 308 caliber, and Benelli's a 12 gauge. But I went turkey hunting. I don't care if I hunt for anything else in the world. I didn't even kill a turkey. I saw a turkey, but I'm hooked on turkey hunting, even if you don't kill one. That is the coolest thing in the world. But I joined a deer camp with my friends down here, and I can tell you, I don't know if I'll kill a deer when I see it. I'll make that decision. I'm sure that Odysseus let deer go before. I may just enjoy the moment. Yeah. But I do enjoy taking that first deer and eating it, because my grandfather, I'm sorry if I've said this on other shows, as a child, I'd caught a fish, and I don't remember what I did with that fish. I may have been trying to play football with it. Who knows? It was like 3 or 4. But my grandfather said, if you're not going to eat it, you don't kill it. Yeah. And I have really a love for nature and everything. I've worked as a forest ranger, volunteer ranger, and this, that, and the other, and still love the forest and backpacking and all that. So I don't know if I'll kill one when I see it, but I want the experience. So at 57, it's never too late to be a new hunter. Yeah, I love to shoot and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so. Yeah. Mind your buck fever.
Right, if you get that first one. Yeah.
Has your season started yet?
All of them.
Has your season started?
In probably 2 weeks, week and a half, give or take. Okay. Week and a half, 2 weeks.
Dustin, tell your father you met the guy that's caught every bass in the world twice. and if he laughs about that, say next time you catch a largemouth bass, just say Chip Carlisle and look at the bass's eyes. And I'm working on trout now. I've quit bass fishing. I'm working on trout these days. Right. I would say about 10% of the trout out there know my name. But Odysseus, you're going to be going crossbow or bow hunting. How are you going to start that here in a couple weeks?
I don't know yet, man. Probably my crossbow gonna be my weapon of choice this season. Yeah. I need to go get my my permit for the WSSC areas. They have several public hunting areas, and it's archery only. Right. So vertical bows and crossbows. And
so you do long.
It's pretty nice. Lots of deer.
Yeah, compound bow, long bow, or recurve. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I had this Bowtech Insanity.
Okay.
It was awesome bow, really fast, really quiet, but I needed some different tools, so I sold it.
Right. Right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
You sell something to get something else, I guess.
Yeah. One of those, I think one of the things that drew me into, knife making, like I said, I wanted to have a knife for backpacking. It's that whole experience of being out in the woods and being able to be self-sustainable, and being able to take a piece of wood down, cut a tree, split it down, take off the bark, take off whatever you need to do, shape it till it bends, and then shoot that bow. And you're it's the same thing with knife making, right? Taking those raw materials and making something that does what it's supposed to do at the end, and it does it well. Yeah, it's a crazy experience. I don't know if you've ever tried bow making, Odysseus, or if you've ever shot more of a traditional bow. There's just something really
I tried making a bow once upon a time. Yeah. I found this set of springs from an old Beetle.
Oh, right on.
Old Beetle.
Yeah, right.
I think they had it looks like a normal live spring set. Has a wider big, long one, and then it has to go narrower and narrower. So I kind of bundled it all together and made a bow out of that thing, but it wouldn't shoot very well.
So are you making a new bow to replace the one that split on you?
I am, yeah, and super busy these last couple weeks trying to get this bow done because Devin and I have a hard deadline for when we're going to do our big end of the video shoot, and we're going to do this.
Do y'all live close together?
We do. He's about 15, 20 minutes away from my house.
Oh, that's good.
Just north of me. So
What's the poundage on that bow?
The goal is 100 pounds. So yeah, and so
so a big boy bow,
a big bow, right? And it's just for this will be our 100th video on YouTube. So we're doing, Devin was like, let's make 100 knives. And I was like, you're not making the knives. You want me to make 100 knives for one video? Come on, man. So we were like, what else can we do? So that was kind of where we ended up. Was like, let's do something else with 100 in it, So let's make something that's.
How did it split?
There were 2 little pin knots on the back of the bow. I was almost done the tillering, right? Tillering is as you're working material down to get both limbs, top and bottom, bending evenly. And I'm bending it. And, usually when you're working it, you don't bend it down further than the initial draw weight. And so I was kind of just bending it at the 70, 80 pounds to see where the limbs were bending to do more tillering. And I was like, I'll just pull one more back to about 100 pounds to see how far it pulls. And I was still short of my draw length, and it just exploded on us. And
see, the good news is it won't be embarrassing when you pull that on a 16-year-old boy standing on the front porch that came home with your daughter late. Who would want to see their bow blow up in their face while he's get off my lawn?
What are you using for your string material?
I use
are you making those as well, or are you buying some synthetic?
Yeah, I use a material called Dacron. I think the new one I have is I start out with B50, which is a typical synthetic bowstring, and you just it comes in thin strings, and you triple or double it. Usually you'll use 12 strings, and then there'll be 3 bundles of 3. They're all twisted together. So I do a specific twist pattern and length. So it's a synthetic. Yeah.
No stretch on it right away, right? No stretch at all.
No,
right?
Some of them do. Dacron B50 has a little bit. I just got Dacron B55, which is supposed to have a little bit less stretch. And then there's material called Fast Flight, which is supposed to have no stretch at all. But they'll stretch a little bit. So usually what I'll do is I'll string, I'll string my bow, and occasionally it'll stretch the string will stretch a little bit, and you can tell because the brace height, how far away the string is from the handle, it'll get less and less because it's stretching. So then you just twist the string up a little bit more, add a few more twists, and then restring it. So but yeah, it has a little bit of stretch, but really, those are all bow strings specifically, but I like that over Fast Flight. It's got a little bit of softness to it. Fast Flight is because there's no stretch at all. It has a lot of hand shock when you release. So I've shot a lot of times. I've just never hunted. It's just like one of those things.
Never too late to start. So you definitely, Dustin, have a zombie apocalypse up in Alexandria. If you follow the show that's going off TV for the last 9, 10, 11 seasons, if you make it to Alexandria, you are the guy that can make bows, knives, swords out of wood if we run out of steel. Have you made any wooden bullets yet?
Those are arrows.
Oh, yeah.
Wooden
Very
bullets.
good. There you go. You're looking at you giving it to me. I'm looking for the yuck, and I'm like, it's in your court now, buddy. Those are arrows. Dummy.
Actually, I've never actually made arrows from scratch. I have some wood. I have it. I've kind of collected some wood. There's a what's it called? Leather leaf. There's a specific type of wood that grows really straight, and you can harvest them and make. So I've harvested maybe 24 or so of these like wooden arrow lengths. So at some point I'll put try my hand in arrow making, but I have too many interests, too many different things, too many things that all can help me during the apocalypse, right?
I know there's probably a good place up there. You can harvest arrow material at either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. There are these dowels.
They're really straight and nice and dry.
Make sure they're ochre. So here's another question. Mark says that he has a coal forge, but he says how to heat treat or how to soak in your heat treat in a coal forge. I don't know if it's charcoal or coal. So we're wanting to soak our steel. And I have a Majestic. I had a hard time doing that with my coal forge. You just kind of put it down there and keep moving it around and look for some consistent color. But I will tell you, I never got a blade that was the same color all the way across. And when I'm talking vertically or front to back, there was always a little color variation. If I did get it that color, I always felt like I got it too hot. So when I went to the Majestic forge, I bought and if he's talking about fire, because ovens are fairly easy, I'm moving that steel back and forth. I'm moving it out of the fire to the right or to the left. I've got a Amazon $55 temperature gun, kind of helping me maintain some type of temperature control, but the results are in what I've produced at this point. I'm seeing harder knives, more consistent across and holding their edges. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Overseer.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've done heat treating of a knife one time in a forge other than propane, and that was the very first time I did it, which was a wok that I drilled some holes in, and I put a bunch of lump charcoal in, and used a hair dryer and blasted underground with a pipe to make a little forge. But similarly, like what you were saying, Chip, is to get something consistent heat. It's really just about bringing it up slowly, working it back and forth. If you're overheating different areas, bring them in and out of the heat, doing what you can. That within something like coal in like an actual forge where you're doing like fire from below and not propane, where you have a concealed space that's going to heat up hopefully relatively evenly, and you got some even heat in there. You've got just air above your forge, so that's just again working it back and forth like you said, and do your best to at least try to get the thinner parts, the edge, to somewhat of a consistent temperature. But that keeping it at that temperature like that's language for a kiln, and they're saying soak it for 10 minutes at 1750 or something. That's language for a kiln. That's not language for like a propane or a gas forge, because you can't do that.
Exactly.
You can try, but
you're not going to be consistent, and I think that's why I don't dabble in stainless steel, because I can't
I would probably take a page out of the Japanese on this. When you see them going for a quench on a sword or a tanto or whatever, they're doing it in the dark. First,
there you go.
Right.
Right.
So they can see the color of the steel and gauge when that steel is basically the same color, end to end. Also, when I took my classes, my teacher said always quench after dark, because he does it on a propane forge, but no thermometers or anything like this. Basically, using a magnet as put it in there and start moving back and forth. And I would guess it would apply the same as if you were doing on a charcoal or coal forge, right?
Yeah.
And keep moving. And on a coal forge, I would probably go with the spine towards the fire first, right? Because you really don't want to overheat the edge or the tip of that steel. So you start going with the spine. By the time you see your edge, it starts to come to the color temperature that you want. The spine is going to be about the same. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be, I guess, as close as you can get to it without having a propane or even or a kiln,
Yeah. Well, they get that color all the way across and that consistent heat. And even talking with a new oven maker, it's the guy we saw over at Blade Show over there next to Ameribraid. I don't remember the name of it. I apologize. It's in my shop, but they even talked about even having cooler spots inside a kiln that, and they were doing something with argon or another gas to compensate for that.
Yep.
But you're really getting deep in the science. What I have found is that when you ensure that cutting edge is as hard as it needs to be, nobody's ever going to know anything about the rest of the knife or even care about the hardness of it. Now, if I offend any knife makers out there that say, hey, that's just completely wrong, realize I'm a guy that's been making knife for almost 3 years, so I'm where I am at my journey. So that may change that opinion in the future.
One of the things I would suggest as well is if you're if you don't have access to a kiln, I don't have a kiln either. All of my knives that have been heat treated just in the forge. Just do, if you're worried about it, possibly do extra normalizing cycles, right? Because then you're working that steel core, that actual structure down to like finer. So you always want to do a couple normalizing cycles, ideally to get that structure really good before you quench. That having good core structure throughout your entire blade will go a long way if you can't get really consistent heat on the blade because you're working in a coal forge or a propane forge when you're doing your quench.
These normalizing cycles are very important, especially if you're using some recycled steel, say from a leaf spring. You don't know the stresses that spring has been through the years, right? Or if you forged it from a coil spring or anything or something like that, right? If you forge in a knife, definitely you should do the normalizing cycles, at least 3 normalizing cycles. It'll be good, right?
Do you know what happens? Do you know what happens when you don't normalize a leaf spring before you start trying to forge on it with a hammer?
It wants to go back to its springy shape.
Your arm hurts for 2 weeks because that steel is hard as it ever was. Right. I learned that one time. Why is this still not moving?
Leaf springs have this particular thing that happened, called a spot hardening. It happened to me several times where I'm grinding, and then you have a little bit of extra heat where where your steel will turn blue on the spot when you overheated that steel, and then if you scrub a file there, it's going to skate just on that little blue spot, right?
Yeah.
So a normalizing cycle is very important. Yes.
Right.
At least 3.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Hey, let's break for just a moment because we've got another sponsor we want to bring in, and her name is Sarah, and she's with Sikowski Scales. And instead of having to go to Sikowski Scales, our buddy Chris Jones is the one that did it. Set her up with scalesbysarah.com. So let's see what Chris has to say about her beautiful products.
As knife makers, we all know the importance of quality handle material. Something that's both tough yet beautiful will increase the value of your knives and allow you to build something that your customers will love. When it comes to the handle material for my knives, I choose Swikowski Scales. Run by Sarah Halpane and her mentor Alex Swikowski, they have a combined 20 years experience making handles and knives. They offer stabilized burls, exotic hardwoods, vintage micartas, and some of the best segmented scales in the business. Find them on Instagram at Swikowski Scales or on their website, swikowskiscales.com. That's SWIECZKOWSKI scales.com.
All right, so you guys go out and see what Sarah's doing. And just to give you a little update, I think September the 17th, our Templars Joey Terrio and Chris Jones are going to be with Sarah at the Louisiana Knife Show down in Lafayette, Louisiana, I believe. So they'll be out there for a day. So not only will you be able to see her products, you'll be able to see her scales on some beautiful knives that our fellow Templars make. And if they don't have what you're looking for at the table, you can pick out your scales and go see them and set them up to make a knife for you in the future. So go see scalesbysarah.com. Anyway, guys, I've got one more question here we've got some time for because we're at about an hour and a half, and we'll start winding her down here in just a little bit.
All right.
But hour and a half always turns into 2, but we'll see. What's the best way to get a non-scratched polish on micarta handles? So that's from Lakin. is this person's name. And I don't work with a lot of micarta. Mine's usually underneath in the way of liners, so you guys may have something to offer there.
I haven't worked with micarta either, not as a full handle material, so I can't help.
What do you mean a non-scratch finish? Almost like a polished finish?
Well, I assume they're looking for a polished finish, or that's the only information I've got right here. So I assume they're wanting something that's not got any scratch lines or dull or whatever. I assume they're going to want a polished finish, since it's more of a.
I guess that's what
term
resin.
Plastically, but it's
right. Yeah, it's like fabric and resin.
Micarta, there is not just micarta, right? There's several
G10 and other things.
There's several kinds of micarta. You have canvas micarta. You have blue jeans micarta, and you have old potato sacks micarta and stuff like this, right?
Burlap.
Dustin's got the dust of
micarta, and you have paper micarta, right?
Yeah, but Dustin's
of
got
these
the
will
bones of his
finish
old
differently.
girlfriend's boyfriend's micarta.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
Anything just like packed in
Joey,
resin. Yeah, right.
Joey the Riot, he does some vintage micarta, and he buffs it out to almost a mirror finish.
Chris just did something with a coyote jawbone too, didn't he?
Yeah, but that wasn't micarta. That was a cast
resin?
acrylic.
Oh, acrylic resin. Okay.
Right,
Well, I think you could look
resin.
at those kind of the same though, as far as treating them. And most sanding, I would just start with the lowest grit paper you need to go ahead and form your shape, and then it's all part of working yourself up. I mean, and you can go to sandpaper or even sanding powders, and you can work your way up to 30,000 grit or higher. But I would say probably 15 to 2,000 grit. You're going to pretty much, if you progressively go through and go against your previous progression, so that if you're sanding left, right, then go up, down, or perpendicular to make sure you're getting out all the scratches, and work your way through that. And one thing I always tell people, I learned this when making fishing lures many years ago, is it's okay to hand sand sometimes, but you really need to be using something to hold the angles, because if your fingers are like a rubber mat when you've got that piece of you're moving that piece of sandpaper, and the highs and lows are going to be they're not going to be consistent in your sanding. So even if you've got a piece of sandpaper on a popsicle stick, it's much better to get a consistency through there. So I think you just have to work up to your progressions. And then I would say on most acrylic, or even, I haven't used a lot of micarta. I've got a piece of canvas now. I've seen some videos, but I use this on the wood that I just got from Oleg. Is I used a white buffing stick, and polish come down. Thank you. And that knife came out extremely shiny. So that's the only thing I can tell them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, many different kinds of micarta. I think the ones that are gonna buff out the best is probably paper micarta,
Right.
because it's very smooth in its makeup. But if you're using some canvas or some burlap micarta, I don't think they're gonna buff it out as well, because you have all those fibers that starts to get exposed.
Yeah.
So you might get the resin to buff out, but then you have
Don't
those
overheat
dull sections
Yeah.
where it's just the fiber sticking out. So
And also,
You know what I think-
something at that level of texture in that material that you're using, it's naturally going to have like so much visual texture to it that it's going to be hard to see a lot of those scratches. So if you're, like you said, Chip, if you work through some of those progressions and you get up to even like 220, it's going to be hard to see any scratches at 220 on a piece of like burlap micarta, right? Because you want that texture, because that's the whole point of that, right? You get some good texture that is going to be waterproof and gives you a good grip on the handle.
yeah,
That's why I like stone washing blades. You don't have to sand it.
Yeah, right.
on the burlap micarta, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's very grippy.
Yeah.
It's very hard for you to lose that blade if you're holding it. Even if you get wet or you get blood into that handle, it is not coming out, because it's very grippy. It's a very textured feel to the thing, right? It's very coarse. At least the pieces that I worked on, I decided to leave it really coarse. I didn't want that thing coming flying out of my hand. So I mean, but
Yeah, it's almost like
always-
besides the point. It's almost like not worth it to go like to try to get rid of everything because you want that texture on it. So you're almost making it too slippery if you go too far.
Yeah, but if you're using some vintage, like I think Pops sell those vintage micarta, those
Right.
will buff out. Those are the things that Joey uses.
Yeah.
I've seen him do some. I think it was a
That butterscotch
cream,
thing he did. He did a butterscotch. Yeah.
Yes, butterscotch. Yep, that thing buffed out really nice. Really
And he was
pretty.
a different color for about 3 days, he said, because there was dust everywhere.
Yep.
But I'll tell you this: when I
Looking
did
looking like a little Oompa Loompa.
so when I was making fishing lures and with any projects, I used to tell people this almost verbatim, that if you're trying to make a diamond, it's going to look like a turd if you don't make each step along the way meet its potential. And that means that assemble it correctly, make sure your joints or where it comes together are always tight, and when you sand it to the point that you're ready to move on to the next step. And when I see a lot of new knife makers, and this may be a new knife maker asking a question of such, that a lot of times they're so enamored with this beautiful object they made. And I tell you, your first knife with all of its scratches, I remember mine and everything, and I showed it to a knife maker and he criticized it and it broke my heart. But it was still a beautiful knife, but I cried for a week. Got on Xanax. Another story. But the thing is that we're such a hurry to produce something. Slow down, because these guys that make masterpieces work for them for 3 to 6 months. Somebody like me that works on a knife for like a Pinto for a week, still slow down. Make sure as it's coming together, things match up, line up, pins go in. If it doesn't, remake the part, resand the part, correct the part. And then when you start sanding, make sure you go through the progressions till things totally disappear, because when you go to polish it, the scratches, how many scratches have you seen that showed up once you polished it? It's okay to go back and sand it again once you've polished it and called it finished. Go sand it again. But it'll be a turd. And it is. Yeah, it'll be a turd unless you take those steps through every step along the way. And it doesn't take forever.
Yeah, I do that with when Devin and I are making a video. I'm like, as we're moving along, he's trying to not really hurry me along, but he's like, all right, how much of this do we really need to like spend this much time, or do you really need the next hour to do this one step? And I'm like, that's just the time it takes. I'm just got to take the time on all the steps, even though that little piece of the project might only get 30 seconds in the video. That part took me as long as it's going to take, and no shorter and no longer, but it's got to take, because you got to be able to put that time in each step. Yep.
Yeah.
You need an agent, by the way. This guy's, or at least join a guild or something, or the actors union or something, because this guy's taking advantage of you.
Devin does all the editing. He does all the filming. He makes me look beautiful on camera, and so
but you're the prima donna. You're the prima donna. You're the face of what you guys do together.
Right, exactly. Where would you be out without me?
You're just the man behind the camera. I can get
exactly.
anybody to hold that camera. Actually, I love people that I love poetry, and I love poetry reading. So when your brother has an opening on your podcast every week, I actually do listen to it, and I reflect on it, because a lot of people are like, well, where's the rest of the Knife podcast? I'm sure. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because not all people are built like that. But I can tell that when he picks something out, his reason for it, it helps me to reflect for a moment. So I'm sure he's a nice guy. So please don't go, quit and resign.
No.
So Chip told me to.
Yeah, we were really excited to start the podcast because so much of the face of the channel is me, but really the channel it's 100% both of us. We work on it together. There have been a lot of things where I'm making something and he suggests something that I wouldn't have thought of, but it made the process really easily. And then we'll do shots and I'll be like, well, how about this shot? So we both we really work well together. And so I was excited to start the podcast with him, because then everyone gets a taste of what Devin's like. You get his personality and his perspectives on things, and he's a great guy.
Can I put in a request?
Sure.
Can I put in request for a future show?
Yeah.
Two things I'd love to see Dustin O'Hara do. Number one is put your brother on. Is Devin, right? Is that what you said?
Yep, Devin. Yep.
Put Devin on the podcast or on your in your video sometime. So you grab the camera, turn it around on him, and just talk about Devin for just a split second. Make him do something with the knife. I don't know. Make him stoke the fire. But put Devin on there so we can meet him. And then number two, since we realize what type of work he does, those Trollsky videos where he's walking into the woods and he's making his fire and he's using his knife, you need to make one of those. I've seen some. Have you made one of those? 'Cause I've seen some hints of it, but I'd love to see something like that with that type of cinematography and all.
Yeah, we've done a few things like we actually did a zombie apocalypse knife. It was kind of like if you had an hour to make a knife, and so we really set the time, and I'd like cut out a chunk of steel. It didn't do any heat treating, did it all in an hour. I made this kind of spear. What would it be like if you had to have a blade that could do some stuff once you're chased away from your house because the zombies are coming. So we did that, and then we have a whole cinematic ending to that where we like go out in the woods, and we had a couple of our friends like act like zombies, and I like threw the spear and did some like spear fishing, and our newest video, the 100-pound bow video is going to have some fun cinematic. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be extra long. We have some cool things. Devin's been making these wooden soldiers and things that we're going to shoot at the end. So we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff.
Do you have the video of when the bow that you made splintered on you?
Yes, we do.
So you need to switch to him holding his camera gear, laying in the floor with wood splinters on him and dead and bleeding on the floor. And then you go after him with your zombie knife. But I do tell you, I want to talk about one of our other non-sponsors, and that is Harbor Freight Tools. And if you do find yourself in the zombie apocalypse, I encourage you to go back to the hammer aisle, and also you may see the $10 Rambo knife they sell back there, complete with a fishing kit and a compass.
In the handle,
Go to Harbor Freight. Go to harborfreight.com and enjoy, and tell them that Chip sent you. Have a blessed day.
They're like, where's the Knives Templars discount? No idea
well, speaking of Knife Templars, if you go to Phoenix Abrasives, you can take advantage of a 10% discount there. Let's let Chris tell you how you can get that.
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code TEMPLARS10 for 10% off your next order.
And if you've got any Phoenix Abrasives available, if there is a zombie apocalypse, you can use them in that 1 hour that you have to make a weapon to get you get you some survival time to get down to Alexandria, Virginia. So there you go. There you go. Well, guys, we are approaching about an hour and 44 minutes, and let's go ahead. I tell you what we're going to be doing. We're going into a holiday weekend. I'm going to try to get the podcast done tomorrow and get it launched so it's out by Sunday or Monday at the latest. And but other than that, you guys live in one of the coolest places in the world. Not one you want to live in during a nuclear attack, I must say. but where I'm going this weekend is probably not much better. I'm going to Nashville this weekend to spend some time over there on Broadway, and going to the Ryman Auditorium, which is the one of the locations where the Grand Ole Opry was conducted for many years. I love the Ryman, and I played the guitar on the Ryman stage, right where Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson played Sunday Morning Coming Down. Oof. So I had the opportunity to play Sunday Morning Coming Down on a Gibson, standing there right front and center. Nice. And then the lady took my picture and said, "Sir, get off the stage." No, just really quickly. I was on the tour. I'd gone up there by myself, and they give you a guitar, and I had a 4-string Gibson acoustic, and it was out of tune, and I started kind of tuning it, And I asked the girl, I said, can I play Sunday Morning Coming Down right here? I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, Chris Christopherson. This is where the show used to be filmed, and that's right where they sang it. She goes, we really don't like to do that. I said, I'll untune it, and I'll be real quick, just the first verse. And she says, well, it was early in the morning because I got there right when they opened. She says, well, go ahead, but we're not supposed to. So I sang the first verse and the chorus of Sunday Morning Coming Down, and there were a couple little older ladies in their 60s, 70s or whatever, and they applauded for me at the end. So I can say I've played the Grand Ole Opry to an audience and got a sitting ovation. And I've got a picture to prove it. But we'll be going there. We're going to meet my son and his future wife in Nashville and do some tours, see some historical stuff, and listen to some great music, and come back on Monday, hopefully recharge for another week. I'm jump right back into that knife I was making, the one that I freehanded. I'll be gluing up the handles for it tomorrow, so when I come back on Monday, I'll probably get those put back on that knife and then move on to getting close to making tuna cleavers.
Sweet.
Otis here, what you got going on?
Man, I'm not sure. I mean, my son has been talking to a recruiter.
Right.
So probably going to be jumping into the Army wagon here soon.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congrats,
yeah. I know that's hard for a parent. Hey, I hope my son's safe, but you have such a great son. I know he's going to be a great, great soldier if he goes that route.
So it's a 90% done deal.
Yeah.
Good.
Right. So probably going to be signing up sometime next week, and going to be shipping up to a boot camp and a week after that.
Wow. Well, thank you, and tell him thank you for us as well.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's probably his best option right now. We were talking to some family members who are and were in the military, and they told him, if you want to fly, your best route is not Air Force per se.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the Army, go to the program, and then you can apply to be, like you say, a chopper pilot or a cargo plane pilot or something like that, right? He specifically said that when it comes down to fighter pilots, you may have all the best scores and everything, but it may not be up to you. It may be up to someone else giving you that spot. So.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. You got a good son, Otis here. He has good character. And I'll tell you, my son Patrick is at the University of Kentucky right now in dental school to be a doctor. So he's got he's in his second year. And so he's talking with the military about becoming a military, or I think he's talking with the Army as well about becoming a dentist and working on a base somewhere around the world. So, I wish I had gone in the military for that experience, but kudos to your son. You should be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he got it in him. He is one of the things that he likes to do. I think is in his blood, in his makeup. Mm-hmm. He always liked this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he'd been talking about it for a long time. So here it is.
Yeah.
He's 18. Time to go. Make your way out through life, and wish you all the best. And you always have a place in my house. So
yeah, you're going to have very proud days ahead of you.
Yep.
I know what he likes better than this, though. You said that's what he likes most in life. Whatever. I know what he likes a little bit better than any of that. You know what that is? You're not very observant.
Tell me, my friend.
He likes Eric Rivers' fudge donut holes.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
That boy owes Eric Rivers some fudge donut holes. No, I'm joking. How about knife wise? You just put out. You're going to take a break, or you're going to go back into something else?
No, I'm probably going to work on the sheath for this dagger. I haven't made the sheath for it yet. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So sheath is coming. And knife-wise, I don't have anything drawn up yet, so I'm gonna be, putting some pencil on paper and see what I come up with, and take it from there.
Take a look at that.
But my line right now that I like to work is pretty well defined, right?
Yeah.
I like that sporting guard that I make,
Right.
this particular one that I'm showing you here.
For sure.
I like that guard style. I really love this guard style. I find it really beautiful. I like
your
the
handle
style of handle.
Is your handle shape a pattern? You just cut it out and then start the rounding over and the shaping and contouring?
Yeah, I made a mold for it. So
Yeah.
basically a piece of, flat stock.
Template.
And then,
Right. Yeah.
Helps you hit all
Then
the
I
curves
just-
and everything?
yep,
Because the
yep,
consistency is beautiful.
Yeah.
yeah, it's...
And all,
then-
you from knife to knife, it's beautiful.
And blade wise, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but
Yeah, we
maybe
go
something
through those.
big, maybe something small. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, hey, take a look
The,
at
the best thing about being a knife maker and is not having a boss,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Today I feel like doing this particular thing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm gonna work on, and that's it. Don't
Yeah, that's why I've got to get away from taking orders, because I like to make what I want to make.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah,
I'm
so
6 knives deep
so
again right
good.
now. I fell back into that because it's hard to tell people no.
Yeah. Yep.
But because they want something specific, and I don't. And if you're listening, I'm enjoying what I've got lined up for you. But I just like the fact that going at your own speed and making what you want, and just being creative, and then saying, "Hey, I'm going to keep this, or this is for sale." So,
Yeah,
but
no, I mean, like, I made this knife. If I do sell it, great. If I don't sell it, great. Because
Yeah. it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't
I
sell the
really
dagger.
like this knife.
Don't
and
sell
I
that
really
dagger.
like it. It came out
Yeah.
prettier than I thought it was going to.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right? Look
Yeah.
at those lines. It's beautiful thing. And man, I'm right now. I'm just enjoying it. If one day I become a famous maker and start making lots of money selling knives, so be it. But for now, I'm just gonna enjoy the process.
Instead of Parks, I see Pinto taking over the quenching oil business with Pinto Sauce LLC. Big old factory,
yeah.
old factory over in New Jersey, just pumping that stuff out.
Yeah, man. That would be great.
Well,
$200 a gallon, good to go.
There you go. Hey, be sure and check out that sheath that Matthew Rich made for his dagger, and just you don't have to take inspiration from it, but he did such a nice job, and I don't know if that would line up to what you're doing, but that's what you need to step out of your comfort zone with sheaths and take that next step, because as talented you are as a knife maker, I can see that your leather skills are growing every day. I will say this. Let me add this in here. I just thought about it. I started saddle stitching and doing it right, and I will tell you, there is no more sense of accomplishment than going around a properly drilled. I drill out my holes. And go with a grooving tool. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that type of stitching.
Yep.
And I started saddle stitching and doing it correctly, because I think people think they're saddle stitching and they're just tying knots.
Right.
Gosh, what a thing. Yeah, that's beautiful, Otis here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is probably the prettiest sheath I made so far.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but I'm getting there.
Oh, you're. I don't see why you ever need to do those plastic sheaths,
Yeah.
Kydex anymore. I'm not a big Kydex
It
fan.
depends on the knife, right?
agree.
If I'm working on a full tank, the Kydex works better for me.
Yeah.
But this style of knife that I'm making lately, it has to be leather. Otherwise,
Then you need to do like Chris just did, wrap that Kydex in some leather. Then, again, I just love leather as well. So Dustin, what do you got going on here in the near future? I know. And then while you're doing that, tell people about your great podcast that I enjoy. There's 2 podcasts I listen to religiously, and that is the Art of Craftsmanship and also Knife Talk, and of course mine. I listen to mine 3 or 4 times only because I'm editing. But tell us about your websites, where we can find your work, and your podcast and your YouTube channel and everything.
Yeah. So we have I have our YouTube channel, which is the Art of Craftsmanship on YouTube. You can just find us there. It's pretty easy to find that one. Same name on Instagram, the Art of Craftsmanship. And those are our 2 main avenues. I don't have a website because we do so many different things. So it's I don't really sell a lot of the stuff that I make, so because of that,
Right.
we don't have. That's not an avenue that we've found, necessary up to this point. But Instagram, and you can also, I would say, follow along with what on Devin's Instagram as well. My brother, he's the Art of Camera guy.
Oh wow,
and
cool. I'll have to look that up.
he does some fun stuff because he'll take pictures while I'm working and he'll post them like literally while we're working in the shop, so maybe he filmed me for 5 minutes doing hand sanding, right? But then he'll sit there and he'll drink a beer or hang out, or we'll be chatting, for the next whatever half an hour, and I'm doing the same steps, and he'll get some good behind the scenes shots and stuff. So you can follow either of us. Oh yeah, yep, yeah. I saw that picture earlier, but
yeah. I was interrupting with an update on Eric's burning trailer, and I don't think this will make a good deer camp trailer at this point.
No, it's a little bit far gone. Yeah.
As I was going to look at your brother's Instagram page, but I'll have to get there a little early,
yeah.
later.
But so YouTube and Instagram, those are our two main avenues. We started the YouTube channel, and then I started Instagram afterward, really as a way to connect a little bit more intimately with the community, and it's really a great avenue for artistic and maker people to show what they're doing. And then also I met a lot of you guys, followed you through that.
Right.
That's how we reached out, was through Instagram. It's a really good avenue, and that's a great way for me again to show like process and keep people interested on what's happening in between the times that we can put up a video.
I love the way social media connects us.
Yep.
And you've used that word connect 2 or 3 times in the last minute, and connections are so cool. And when we make friendships out of those, and I will tell you, I feel like you're a good friend now, and I hope that you feel that as well, because anything I can do to support you and promote what you do, because what you do just adds so much value back to not only the knife making community, just good content in general, because everything you do, whether you're a knife maker or not, it's or you're making a bow or a sword or just whatever you're doing, a zombie knife in an hour and go kill some zombies. It's just good content that we don't always get these days, and it's done with a very kind heart, and that certainly shows in what you do.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So, I do want to reiterate, and guys, we're going to hit 2 hours regardless. I'm sorry, but hey,
great.
when it's good talk, it's good talk.
That's right.
Let's take a second, because you are part of our Pops Knife Supplies Maker Mark series. You are a Knives Templar from here on out, and we hope that you will come back on future shows and join us when we need a fill-in, or you just want to be here because you're just a good guy.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers: Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives. Make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
So yeah, go over to popsknife.supplies and find you some good knife making materials, because I tell you what, everything they sell is top notch. And if you want to call them, the guys are always willing to jump on the phone and talk over there, but you'll certainly get McKenna or Luke. Luke was on our Knives Templars show on a recent episode, and just the most friendly staff whatsoever. I will tell you what, if you have to call the utility board to argue over your latest water bill and you're just mad after that, or a car warranty or something, pick up the phone and call Pop's Knife Supplies, because you'll feel better when you get off the phone with them. So, anyway,
I
listen, guys.
I need to order some supplies to do a folding knife. I want to do a folder. Long ago I made a little folder that I gave to a guy, just a friction folder, and it folded inside of a tine, of like an antler tine.
Oh, wow.
Really nice curve.
Yeah.
But I want to do, I have some Damascus that a guy sent me, and I want to do a folding knife. So I need to get some materials for that. So I'll definitely have to look over at Pops and see what they have, see if they got some stuff.
I've got a code you can use.
All right.
It's a 50% discount. You can use one time. It's called Art of Craftsmanship 10, or excuse me, Art of Craftsmanship 50.
All right.
And I guarantee you they will laugh at you and not give it to you.
I'll try that one.
But what's real nice is they, with their shipping, you pay your shipping charge and then they refund the balance. So they're very honest, good folks. And I hope to go over to a event they're having a guild event in October. I hope to go over and spend some time with those guys because they're as good as anybody else we've had on this show. Just good people. So guys, that is the Knives Templars for episode 15. We've only got 85 to go, and that will be Otis Sear will be retiring from failing cars about that time, but we will get to 185 more episodes. But I will tell you, Dustin, we are truly blessed to have a person like you in the knife making and the creativity community, and all you do to share that. Pinto, dude, you need to buy the house next door to me and just become my next door neighbor because I love you like a brother. You're a good man. And I hope everybody out there has a blessed week. Enjoy your weekend, Labor Day weekend coming up this weekend, and be safe. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Knives Templars.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
All right, our little after show that we have here. Otis here, I can't believe you didn't cuss at all this. I don't have to cut anything out.
Yeah, I decided to behave a little bit today.
You sure didn't. Otis here never cusses. I'm just joking.
Speaking of 100 podcasts, we just recorded the episode that came out today was our 99th podcast.
Oh, well, you've got a great milestone.
Our 100's coming up.
I can think of a great guest for episode 100, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
You know who it is?
Who's that?
Otis or Pinto. He can reveal the Pinto sauce.
Oh no.
Well, I have in my shop, my brother, like Devin and I, we actually bought an extra pair of microphone headphones so we can actually record with four. So we're going to do a Four Brothers. If you've listened, you've heard over the years we've done some Four Brothers podcasts. So if Otis here, if you come, you have to bring your own gear, but you got it. So
there you go, Otis here. I think that was almost an invite. You were almost in like Flynn.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just have you hold the boom mic over their heads or whatever. So.
Right, yeah.
If they don't give you any airtime, they don't give you any airtime, you can just kind of slowly, like SpongeBob, just kind of drop into the scene and smile with your boom mic. So, Dustin, I'm not ashamed to invite myself if I'm ever up your way. I would love to stop and buy you lunch, or I'm not going to invite myself to your house. You have to do that, and please, I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying, I'd love to sit and see Otis here and you, and we all go out and buy a steak at
that'd be great.
A local place and sit and enjoy it. That'd be fun, so much fun.
And there's nothing better than hanging out with people in shops, So I love, people come around if I'm around. Obviously, we've chatted now, so you're not a stranger. So you're definitely welcome to come by, check out the shop, and see what we do down here in the AOC underground.
Have you guys ever been brave enough to come to Alabama?
I have never been to Alabama. I've driven from Maryland to Florida, and I've driven from Maryland to Maine, but never been. I guess I didn't drive through Alabama right now. That's
Alabama gets a bad rap. It's one of those southern states, and it is one of the most friendly, wonderful states. It reminds me of the 1970s and 80s that I take that back because Amazon's come to town, FBI has set up a big office, and big cities are coming up. I think Huntsville's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States right now. But when I came here, everything shuts down for church on Wednesday. I live in a little small town, 12,000 people, and you see people in churches and schools, and if you don't know their names, you know their face and everybody. It's just a quaint little place. But also, it's just a wonderful, loving town. They'll sit and talk about the racism and stuff of the past, and all that's in the past, and it existed in many different places of the United States. But Alabama is one multicultural, lovely place. So I enjoy it here. Yeah. But if you ever go to the Gulf of Mexico, I've got, my kids are gone. I've got a in Pinto. I've got a whole house upstairs, and I'm upstairs in part of it right now.
All right.
You're always welcome to stop by, and we're just slightly more expensive than a Hampton Inn if you stay here. but we cook you breakfast. We don't make you eat like they do at the Hampton. So just keep that in mind. $167 a night.
That's it. Oh, that's
but if you're ever
steal.
down this way, I'd love to show you. I'd love to show you my garage where I make knives as well. So
Yeah, nice.
that's cool.
Right on.
Well, I assume that Eric has got a burned out trailer. I have a feeling it's just end up getting scrapped and go to the junkyard. Poor guy.
Yeah, I've been watching, like, kind of keeping an eye on my phone. I've had the notifications popping up when he sent that picture. I was like, oh.
You know what I would do with that trailer? I would find a nice deer hunting spot, and I would just plant it over there and camo over, and just use the windows as a shooting porch. You know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as long as the roof's still
Right
good,
now it's
you gotta
already
cover
burned.
it.
It's already
Yeah.
total loss anyway, so might as well.
Yeah. And what's Eric's in Texas? Is that right?
Yeah.
He is up in Wichita Falls.
Okay, yeah. So it doesn't get too cold there. Some holes in the walls, not a big deal.
Well, I'll tell you this. Eric sounds like me, but I'm a safety engineer, and I've worked in safety for years. And my last 4 hours have been dealing with this good old electrical fire right next to the propane tank. Oof. And the trailer was about 8 feet from our propane filling station. They evacuated the entire block. Hope everyone is okay. It's a customer's camper. An inverter was installed wrong, and the wiring caused a fire, and that's very unfortunate. But that's my life every day of the year for my whole life as a safety engineer, just preventing this stuff. And sometimes things happen, but I'm glad that he got through it tonight. So. Yeah. Let's take up a fund. Maybe we can set up a GoFundMe for a new pair of underwear for Eric.
Right, exactly.
If I was in that situation, I need them too. A propane tank. What is that? A Blevy boiling liquid something explosion, overpressure explosion or something like that. I don't think they need that with propane filling station.
Yeah. I do that. My daily job as well is trying to keep people alive, but I just do it with high school students.
So what do you do during the day? Are you a teacher?
Yep, I'm a teacher. I teach architecture in Baltimore City City schools. So cool, man.
The stuff we learn.
Yeah, and my background's not in architecture; it's in fine art and in making stuff. But that's what architecture is. It's like taking art and design, and it's taking hands-on and making things and putting it together. Doing some 3D stuff. So, I had to learn.
Do you ever make them draw knives? We're going to architect knives today, and then take their designs.
I don't, but I show them my knives, and I'm like, check out this. My drawings and things. They're like, oh, that's cool. Make me a knife. I'm like, yeah. Well, when you're 18 and you're not at school anymore, I'll make you any one you want.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a great job. This is, I'm back. This week is our first week back. So now I'm trying to back into balancing, like, being a husband and a father and a teacher and a knife maker and, and a podcaster, and it's, a bunch of stuff. I try to do it. I told my wife one time recently, I was like, yeah, sometimes I just feel lazy. And she's like, you do so much stuff. How could you ever feel lazy? I'm like, I guess you're right. It was a different perspective.
I think I said what I was doing this weekend. What are you guys doing this weekend? I don't know if I asked you.
I'm my in-laws are coming into town. They live up in Vermont, so they're coming down to Maryland tomorrow. And
Daryl,
the Vermont in-laws, they'll be down, and so because my daughter's birthday is on Monday, so they'll be here over the weekend. But Devin and I we're scheduled to shoot the end of the bow video next Saturday. So I just backed the bow with some rawhide, so I have a lot of work to do. And with everything that we have, he's going to come over on Sunday, and he's going to come over on Thursday. So we have 2 more shooting days before next Saturday. So a busy week coming up.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Do your students go to your channel?
They do. Yeah, it actually it's gotten me some street cred over the years, because to their age, like YouTube content creators are where it's at. That's what's cool. So, I wait a little bit, but I'll throw it in there. I'd be like, yeah, on my YouTube channel, we do this and this. And they're like, you have a YouTube channel? How many subscribers do you have? Like 2,000, 3,000? I'm like, yeah, we're a little bit more than that. I remember when we had 45,000. I told one of my students I had 45,000. That just blew them away. So now when we say you have over 100. They're like, oh, cool. You have a plaque, blah, blah, blah. Like, yep. And then all of a sudden the
you ought to
respect
see my
level.
yacht. You ought to see my
Yeah,
yacht
right,
that
exactly.
we put the plaque in. Now, when they realize that you can't really buy a yacht with 100,000 subscribers,
right.
but still, you can always at least say you ought to see the yacht down at Annapolis
exactly.
that we keep down there. So.
My cash bed that I sleep on each night.
Otis here, what are you doing, man?
We'll see. Tomorrow I'm heading out to Falls Church with my wife, just the two of us, for this Brazilian steakhouse called Shimas.
Nice.
I don't know if you've been there, Dustin.
No.
Pretty good. Oh. If you are a carnivore like I am,
yep.
Highly recommended. Called Shimas here in Falls Church.
Yep.
Very good. And when I say very good, I mean very good.
Right, nice.
Several different kinds of meats for you to enjoy.
Right on.
And for Sunday, I don't know yet. We're planning something, and Monday I'll be in the shop working. Work never stops. So
right. Yep. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I do have that day off, which is nice.
Do you guys know where Upper Co, Maryland is?
Yep. Yeah,
Have you ever been to eat it? You ever go eat at Friendly Farms?
Yeah. I grew up eating.
I love Friendly Farms.
Yep, 100%.
Their crab cakes are the best in the world.
They're so good. Yeah, that's
I see. That's what I don't know. I don't dig the crabs.
You don't do crabs? Oh, come on, man.
They smell funny. They smell funny.
Well, you can get roast beef there too, man.
Yep, you can get roast beef. You can get chicken. A whole side of chicken. Oh man, it's their fried chicken.
You wouldn't believe we've had big wedding anniversaries.
Yep.
We've had family reunion dinners and just whatever over the years. And I haven't been there in several years, but gosh, only thing I can say, every crab cake I eat in the world, I compare to Friendly Farms, and they all suffer by comparison.
Those like sugar buns that they give you, and all the oh man, it's so good. Yeah, my mom is from this area. My dad is from a little bit down in the county, but like my mom grew up going there, and so almost every year for my mom's birthday, and then for my grandparents' birthdays, we'd go. So yeah, I grew up going to Friendly Farms. I remember running around chasing ducks and stuff outside.
Yeah. And all of the way the seating is there, it's just like one big church Sunday. Everybody in the
family
church is there,
seating,
so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're just slinging food.
Yeah, it's courses and everything
us.
comes out, corn, and oh man.
Yeah, never been there.
Yeah, it's
you need to go there, even if you just eat roast beef. It's really good. But I will tell you this: I think there again, Kevin Bacon was right. We're all connected.
That's right. Yeah,
that's great. So. Well, guys, I'm going to jump off because my wife has been very patient with me, and I need to give a little time downstairs to say, talk about our days. But Otis here, you're a blessing in my life. Dustin, you are now as well, and I hope that your daughter, I like to use that word blessed because it's so important. I hope that you have a blessed weekend with her celebration. And I'm glad to hear you've already got a shotgun. You don't have to start saving for it.
She's 13 or she's turning
gonna
13?
Be 13.
She's going to be 13. Yep,
She's
a
big
teenager.
The big 13.
You pulling up to the rebellious stage of life.
She's a great kid, and
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
They all want to start spreading their wings, but I'm sure all of us have a way of keeping them in. I've just told my sons that everything you did to me growing up, just realize they've got twins, Dustin. I'm like, they're gonna do to you.
Yeah, right, exactly. And if you've watched the YouTube channel over the years, you would have seen her growing up, because ever since maybe episode 3 or 4, like our first episodes, and we're just hitting episode 100, she's been in every one. Hidden somewhere. That's why we call her the shop elf.
I've seen one where she was sitting at your workbench, and I don't know if she was helping or sand or doing something, but she was sitting as a small child at your workbench. So I don't remember.
We always have her somewhere. Like, it's funny because people will see her in the background, like hidden somewhere, and they're like, "Did I just see a crazy ghost in your shop, or is that like a child?" And they're like, "No, that's on purpose. Like, that's her. That's such a neat thing.
Yep,
incorporate her into every video somewhere. Like, and we've done things where we've done time lapse, and she's walking around me, and then just ones where we pan by a spot and she's like standing in the corner, kind of looking funny. Like it's great. She likes it, we like it, and ever since she was little, now
that's cool. I've got a Zen Bigfoot. He just kind of sits there like a Buddha, Bigfoot statue. I'll have to start placing it around my shop and just what is that? Copying somebody is the greatest form of flattery.
That's
or something
right.
Like,
Yep.
I don't know.
Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
I made
there we
Blanky.
go. There we go. Yeah. Well, listen. Hey. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and
Thanks,
we are gone.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky oinky oinky.